Hello, my name is Krista Ross, CEO of the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce, and today I'd like to tell you about our 2021 policy priorities. The vision of the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce is stronger community through business prosperity. We know that if the business community is able to be strong and viable, this will create jobs, grow the economy, and provide government with the resources to provide the social programs, recreational activities, and infrastructure needed in our communities. Our mission is support business prosperity through networking, shared services, advocacy, and events. The Fredericton Chamber's vision and mission, along with our close connection to the community, guides every decision we make as an organization, particularly our policy and advocacy work. The past year has been one like no other, but in developing our policy priorities, we recognize that overall, even though our day-to-day activities and issues of concern may be focused on the pandemic and economic recovery, the overarching issues remain largely consistent and the current issues can be similarly identified. Each fall, our board of directors discusses and updates our policy priorities. Their thoughts and ideas about the priorities are then put to the entire membership of more than 1,000 businesses and organizations in our annual member survey. Having gone through this process, our policy priorities in 2021 are competitive business environment, workforce development, natural resources and energy, innovation, digitization and the knowledge economy, and access to primary care. Let's talk a little bit more about those priorities. First, competitive business environment. Traditionally, cost competitiveness has been an advantage that we have had in New Brunswick, but this has eroded over the past 5 years, pre-pandemic. New Brunswick businesses have seen increases in minimum wage, property tax, corporate tax, HST, EI rates, carbon tax, CPP, land transfer tax, and WorkSafe New Brunswick premiums, amongst others. We've also traditionally been concerned with government debt as the primary driver of increased costs through taxes. Given the current economic crisis with COVID-19, government debt has taken a backseat to business support and economic growth stimulus, both through policy and direct financial assistance. But the business environment is about more than just cost. It also includes the regulatory environment, red tape, roadblocks to development, overlapping jurisdictions, and more. And now the COVID-19 environment, such as public health restrictions, government support programs, and support local movements. We have recommended that the government complete a comprehensive tax policy review to ensure that the province is following jurisdictional best practices, and that New Brunswick tax structure is aligned with and an extension of the province's economic development policy and growth strategy. The only way to sustainably improve the economy is through consistent business growth, and we work with all 3 levels of government to advocate for the best possible conditions for that growth. Our second priority is workforce development. New Brunswick's declining population is one of the greatest threats to sustained economic growth moving forward. The Fredericton Chamber of Commerce addresses this issue primarily through working closely with new Canadians and post-secondary students and institutions. On the immigration side, the Chamber works with ONB, Working NB, and Ignite Fredericton to shape programming that works for our community. We also advocate on the Provincial Nominee Program, Express Entry Program, Startup Visa, and others, and we actively work to connect post-secondary students with local businesses and the community, generally by working with businesses, our economic development organizations, post-secondary institutions, and the students themselves. There is substantial alignment of goals between these 4 groups, and the Chamber works to connect them and advocates for policies that puts this alignment into practice. Next up is natural resources and energy. Natural resources are, by far, Canada's largest export sector, and as a key part of Canada and New Brunswick economic mix, the Chamber believes that any serious plan for creating jobs or greening our economy and reaching out to new markets has to place the competitiveness of the resource sector at its core. Natural resources and energy provide crucial, high-paying jobs for people in rural areas, but urban areas benefit as well. Through their extensive supply chains, natural resource firms are important customers of manufacturers, innovative startups, and our world-class ICT sector, as well as other service providers in cities that are miles from the forest, farm, or a mine site. Because of their multi-sector impact, natural resource and energy projects, such as small modular reactors, provide opportunities that we can't afford to ignore. Much of our advocacy work in this area is focused on barriers to development, such as overlapping federal and provincial rules, unclear consultation requirements, the lack of skilled labor, a lack of political will or priorities, and the lack of public buy-in for both renewable and non-renewable projects and resources. Our fourth priority is innovation, digitization, and the knowledge economy. Particularly in Fredericton, the knowledge economy heartland, a healthy knowledge sector is critical to our role in creating wealth for New Brunswick. Our post-secondary institutions are some of our most valuable economic development assets. They drive research and innovation. They draw international students to the province. They propel the technology sector and the startup community, in addition to providing highly skilled training for our future employees. Cybersecurity is one of the fastest growing sectors in the world. The Cyber Center in Fredericton can be a path to being a worldwide leader focused on critical infrastructure, and from there, we can expand New Brunswick's cybersecurity footprint more generally. The government will gain revenue and critical infrastructure to further the significant economic growth through cybersecurity by private industry from Knowledge Park. Finally, back on our list in 2021 is access to primary health care. Easy and efficient access to primary health care continues to be an issue for our members, particularly in relation to attracting skilled employees. That's why we established a Physician Recruitment and Retention Committee in 2009. And we still actively assist efforts of Horizon Health and the New Brunswick Medical Society to attract and welcome physicians to our community, while seeking other ways to expand easy and efficient access to primary care. Currently, about 15,000 citizens in Fredericton are without primary care physicians, 44,000 in New Brunswick. Premier Higgs stated in the State of the Province that the wait list will be cut in half by March, and we're hopeful this comes to fruition, but long-term work is still ahead of us. Access to primary health care has been an issue in the province for decades, and perhaps one of the positive legacies of the past year has been to highlight the need for health reform, including continuing and expanding the use of virtual healthcare. Of course, many issues arise during the course of a year that affect Chamber members that may not neatly fit into one of these 5 categories, and we still always respond to matters of importance to our members. But prioritizing our policy areas allows us to be more efficient in our work and give our members more value for their membership. As always, please contact myself or our policy manager, Morgan Peters, at any time to discuss any policy or advocacy issues your business may be facing. Thank you.